classes in Harlem, and I would go across the floor with Chuck until he recognized that I could move a bit, and we became friends. Heavy influence on my cultural aesthetic. Pearl Primus is the one who got my name changed. When I told her that I had been to Nigeria 4 times, she sent me back with her husband, Percival Boyd, who was from Trinidad. And he took a bunch of us into Nigeria again, and that's when I got the name changed. And I kept mine because I thought it was beautiful. Aduke Aremu was lyrical to me. Another person that was very big is in Brooklyn. There's a really heavy female black political caucus run by Vivian Bright, who's my godmother, and she put a lot of money and a lot of stuff in my hands so that I could travel with my theater and do projects. Congressman Ed Towns, who just retired out of Congress, he came to every play I ever did in New York, every play. There was also brothers called the Leviticus group. I don't know if Dean remembers when they had Leviticus and they had the Mel Wolfo group and the Apollo Theater group. All of those guys were my friends. And what they did, because they were not artists, they literally sponsored a lot of my projects. I hear Bell. Is that somebody else coming on?
We have other people coming on. We'll have to see what they're talking about. But, yeah, don't go anywhere. We're enjoying the conversation. But we have bells. That means other people are calling.
Oh,
yeah, we got two. We got two at the door. We have Caique and we have psychic medium Alex Sarr.
All right. Let's get to Caique first, and then we'll come to the psychic medium as well. But let's get to Caique first.
Okay.
Okay, hold on 1 second. We will get them in the show very shortly. It's Straight Talk with Dana Mark, y'all.
Bass players, best thing you can do for your overall sound. You've got to see this. New Basstone Incorporated makes Nightwalker bass guitar tube preamps. This preamp will give your sound such a boost, it's just incredible. Try it today. Try it today now. A great sounding bass guitar will make for a great sounding band. Make your band sound at its best. Best thing you can do for your bass guitar sound. NewBassTone.com. NewBassTone.com.
All right, Caique, welcome to Straight Talk with Dana Mark. You are now on the line.
Hello.
Hey, Caique, glad to have you on the line. We've been talking to Aduke, who's a playwright friend of mine who has spent time in all over the world, actually. She's been born in New York, done plays in Atlanta, North Carolina, and around the world. You are actually from Brazil and actually now live in this area and celebrate the Brazilian culture a lot because you now live here in the Triangle area, making Durham your home and everything. But you've actually got a Brazilian festival that's going to be coming up very shortly. So that's part of the reason I wanted you to call was to talk about your experience as being a Brazilian living here in America and letting us folks know about Brazilian music, because you're not one of those musicians that just know the Brazilian music because you learned about the Brazilian music. You were raised in the Brazilian music.
Yes, indeed. I was raised in the center of the Afro-Brazilian culture, the nest of Brazilian music and where everything started, including the music style that was the soundtrack for the civil rights movement in Brazil, of course inspired by the civil rights movement here in the U.S., summer reggae. And being a Brazilian, living in the States, and I've been living here for the past 7 years, has been a journey of challenges and also big victories. I have conquered a lot of respect into the community, and I'm glad that I was able to build a space where Afro-Brazilians and Brazilians in general could come and find the culture being practiced with respect to the traditions.
Definitely. So tell us a little bit about the Brazilian Carnival. You've done this now for a number of years. I think last year, did it happen last year, or was that a year that we had some weather issues and things that it didn't happen? Because I think that it did happen last year, but I can't remember whether it did or did not.
So the Brazilian Day Festival was the festival that was canceled last year due to the tornadoes. But the carnival, which we're talking about, that's coming up on February 22nd, takes place every February, March, on the religious calendar. It takes place and have been a success for the past 7 years. This is the 6th year that I'm doing it myself. I decided to take ownership of my culture because the first time that I performed, people didn't know what they're doing. Unfortunately, Americans took the event and gave a different connotation. And I felt disrespected. I felt that things were missing into the celebration. So I took the ownership of the event, and since then I do it every year. And it's a big success. People come and learn about Brazilian culture, not only come to drink and see ladies dancing, but they get educated through a bunch of performances that we bring to the stage. And most of the people that we bring to the stage are local artists who doesn't have much space into the festivals and events that is provided in the Triangle area.
And what do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions people have about Brazilian life and Brazilian music? Because I know that a lot of times when we think about places that we haven't traveled, I know Brazil, as I've told you before, Caique, is on my dream list of places to visit. I think people like you have told me that if I go there, I may never come back because of the whole culture that's there, and that I might decide that I don't want to come back. And who knows, might fall in love with some Brazilian woman or something. But I know that I've been threatened. If I go there, you may not come back. But what do you think are some of the misconceptions people have about Brazil?
Well, most of the people, unfortunately, all they know about Brazil is soccer, samba, the beauty of the women, and Rio de Janeiro. These are the things that people associate with the Brazilian culture, and unfortunately, our government, Brazilians as well, they promote those things more than everything else that is there, full and reach of knowledge and ancestry. Some of the misconceptions that I struggle with, and I try to bring people to the light to discuss and get a better understanding is that Brazilian music is just a mix and fusion of three races, mainly the Portuguese, the indigenous population, the Tupi-Guarani population, and the African population. However, the African roots in the Brazilian culture are the strongest you can see and experience. The music speaks on that completely. There's no way you can listen to Brazilian music and not wanting to dance, because that changes your flow, your body flow completely. The drums change your body flow and brings you to your heart to the beat of the music. This is why people often associate Brazilian music with tribal music, and I've seen that many times. When you want to portray someone from Brazil, we portray it like with drums and doing silly stuff, and this was one of the things that I struggle a lot to bring people to the light and discuss and get a better understanding. The Brazilian music, yes, indeed, have strong connections with tribal music, but it's not a tribal music style. It has its beauty, it has its own theory, and it also has, its own classic point of view. Just as, Western classical music that people across the globe appreciate so much and praise so much.
Yeah, and a lot of people do that, and they don't necessarily understand the connection of the Brazilian music to some of the other music and everything of that nature. The other person that we've had on this show and everything, Aduke, you'll be able to relate to what she's talked about, because she's been talking about how the fact that she's done her plays and she basically does not take no for an answer. And I know that you oftentimes don't take no for an answer either and are determined to do these events no matter what folks may tell you, because as she just mentioned earlier, she went out there and got something like $100,000 or some other astronomical amount to do these plays and these dolphin productions. And I know that you have a similar kind of mindset where you are going to inform people about this lifestyle no matter what the cost may be, sometimes doing a lot out of your own pocket, but also sometimes trying to find sponsors and things of that nature. So how has that struggle been going in terms of trying to get more people here in our area involved with the arts? And Aduke, if you have any advice to give, Caique, we'll gladly take it.
Okay, I'll tell him a few things when he finished talking. I have a few things for him to look at. Okay?
Oh, that is awesome. One of the things, can he hear me? He needs to get in touch with Steve. He needs to get in touch with Steve Allen in Atlanta. Steve Allen is the Olympic artist that has been in Brazil over and over again. He is heavily connected politically. If you call me, I'll get you with Steve. Steve Allen is in Brazil as a painter, and he has major contacts in Brazil and in the United States. So that's a connection that you might want to have with Brazil. The other thing is there are a lot of political people who have been to Brazil. Out of New York University, Earl Davis takes a tour to Brazil every year. These are the people you need to know because they will also showcase your work, and the connection between you and them in the United States will bring you your money you need and the places you need to go. Awesome. I definitely will follow up with you to get numbers and name and numbers and any type of contact information so I can get in touch with them.
Okay.
One of the things that I'm trying to do, unfortunately, the businesses here, they're not that much inclined to, support a cultural event that is from Latin America, unless if it's like something related to Hispanic populations, Mexico or Honduras or Colombia, Venezuela. When you speak about Brazil, even though it's one of the most popular cultures in Latin America, they are really, really skeptical about putting, financial support into events like these. And our population is just growing so much, and they're just not aware. But our population is growing so much. There's a lot of Brazilians who live in the Triangle area now, and there's a place for them to invest and get their brand or whatever seen by a big crowd into the Latin community, including Brazil.
Because one of the things that I've noticed, and we talked about this before, Caique, is that sometimes they find one group, and whenever they find that one group, whether it's somebody like Ricardo or somebody like that, they'll stick to that one group and they won't explore the expanse of what Latin America represents. Because Latin America is not just one country. It's a variety of countries. I mean, it's everything from Brazil to Honduras to Chile to Mexico to Peru to Paraguay. So it's a variety of countries, but oftentimes it seems like a lot of our leaders, in terms of the artistic leadership, try to stick with just what they consider safe, which might be more of like the traditional kind of sounds and everything.
Yeah, that is the big misconception that everything that after Miami, everything sounds the same for them. So they put it all in one big box. It's one of the things that I learned here in the U.S. is that you cannot allow the system to add you to one box. Even though you are part of a certain population, you're still different from the remaining cultures. And this is what I try to bring people to discuss. It's like, why am I just Latino? Why is not here like Afro Latino? Because that is black people in Latin America. Lots of black people in Latin America, more than here in the U.S. So why cannot be Afro Latino? And it was one of the struggles in everywhere that I went to fill up this document. They just have you're either or Hispanic, Latino, or you are black or white, and that is not such thing. um, fighting to not be categorized by a big block, a big chunk of demographic is also like a struggle that us Latinos suffer a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Because I imagine that, and I don't know if you watched the Super Bowl, but I imagine that you